Hey everyone, you're watching What's Neat This Week, show number 102. We have a lot of models on the table and a lot to talk about, so coming up next.
Wow.
Yeah.
The What's Neat This Week video podcast is supported by enthusiastic model railroaders just like you. Additional support is provided by Athearn Trains. Check out all their new monthly announcements at athearn.com. And by the Gateway St. Louis 2020 NMRA. Meet me in St. Louis, July 12th through the 18th, 2020. For more information on this, check out their website at www.gateway2020.org. Further support is provided by the NCE Corporation, the power of DCC. Visit their website at ncedcc.com. And thank you for supporting the What's Neat This Week podcast. This is the What's Neat This Week, show number 102 for January the 11th, 2020. I'm your host, Ken Patterson, the host of What's Neat over at Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine. And today, this whole week, I had the honor and privilege of having Joe Fugate living in our home with us as he's been shooting layouts for the 2020 NMRA National Show that's coming up this summer. And Joe was great to be with. I love sharing my office with him. It was so professional. In fact, I did get What's Neat done for February because he was here and the pressure was on to get it done. And it came out to be a really, really good show. We've got two great layout tours in that video that I will talk about further as we go through podcasts. But rock and roll, what just came out recently in the last 5 days is January's What's Neat. And we've achieved over 20,000 views in the first 5 days. So we're back on our game with that show simply because it's got how-to content in it. It's also got a really great layout in it. John Schindler was here earlier this evening from our NMRA, and we showed off John Schindler's beautiful layout. He's got a great steel mill, a lot of square footage, run through a Digitrax system. This is an operating layout. It's one of the oldest operating layouts. He built the thing about 18 years ago, and it's just an absolutely magnificent layout. So enjoy that in this month's January What's Neat video over at Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine. And tonight I've got with me a great cast. Of course, I've got Michael Budde sitting next to me here. I love Mike. We've got James Regier.
Hi, everybody.
And James drew through a torrent of a snowstorm to get here tonight because it is snowing out there currently, which is why a lot of folks haven't shown up.
Mike. I think he may have had it worse even. Yeah.
I've also got Chris Palomarez staying in the home tonight with us tonight. And the service did clean all the bed sheets and linens, so you got a fresh bedroom tonight to sleep in. It's like a great hotel on the bluff, and I love it that way.
Yeah, bed and breakfast.
It's a bed and breakfast, but you don't get breakfast, you just get a bed. There is so much exciting stuff going on this week, I can't even tell you. Michael Wood, you remember him as being the gentleman that makes all of this wonderful metal stuff, including those throttle holders, our display that holds the NCE throttle system on the table. Michael's done some amazing work, and also Zach Mantilla is running camera. Zach, show him the sign down there at the bottom of the table. We finally hung up this beautiful 25-pound steel laser cut sign that's got our logo of the show on it. It's in front of the table. I actually hung it on the shelf back here earlier in the week, and it just looked kind of too big and blocked too many trains. So I think it's got a good home right there on the front of the table. Thank you so much, Michael Wood, for making this beautiful art.
It really ties the table together.
It's like a drum head on the table. It's pretty cool.
It was really neat because I went to the Home Depot and grabbed a piece of white circular piece of wood, and it just came out great. Look, I see Daniel Coombs knocking on the...
looking in at us.
Yeah, go ahead and let Daniel come on in here, Daniel. Come on, brother. This is...
That's just the way we roll.
This is how we roll.
All right, Daniel's walking in on us.
This is where John Abaticola tells me I need to cut the tape, but we're not cutting it because this is a live show, and that's the way it works. So, Joe Fugate spent a lot of time here filming many different layouts in St. Louis for the NMRA 2020 show, of which we're also filming a lot of different layouts and going to run them on the What's Neat shows. Also, I talked to Lionel Strang this week, and we're going to try an experiment. And this is something that ties into Denny Yelsma. Denny has been wanting to give away some of the beautiful What's Neat apparel on the show as gifts. free because people like free stuff. So we
Swag.
thought, well, swag.
Swag. Yeah.
What does that acronym stand for?
Stuff we all get.
Stuff we all get, swag.
Yeah.
So Lionel Strang and I came up with a marvelous idea yesterday on the phone, and that is how could we satisfy Denny with the idea of giving away things? And we would try an experiment tonight on the show, and that is this. On readers' comments on YouTube, the very first 2 people that mention Lionel Strang's podcast, It's a Modeler's Life, he's going to monitor this. And the first 2 wonderful folks that say something about his podcast on readers' comments are going to get a free T-shirt sent to
On
them.
this video, right?
Right.
On this
Okay.
video,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Sent to them directly by Lionel Strang.
Mr. Strang.
You will get a Modeler's Life T-shirt sent to you. So that's the experiment. There it is. So when I put
Now,
this podcast
this is
up at
wh- yeah.
midnight on Sunday
Or
night,
so, yeah, whatever.
Right.
Monday, Tuesday.
we're just going to try this as an experiment. And if it works, then we'll have a game plan on how to go about this in the future.
Yeah.
So those are my couple things I got scratched off. Tell me, Chris, you're sitting with us tonight. What's been going on?
Well, there's a lot going on. We got the Santa Fe cabooses open for pre-order for Athearn. We have some sample models. These are actual production models of the Amtrak SDP40F with icicle breakers. It's really important to note that the previous
nice.
releases didn't have it, and it's that little wire form that goes around the front of the horns there that really set off. To me personally, that's the look of the SDP40F that I always remember from the late 70s. They always had like that icicle breaker going around the front of the horn. So that's
Very important for
that's
the
cool.
dome cars, especially.
Absolutely. And we also have a Prime for Grime version of the BNSF there too.
That's beautiful. That is faded yellow.
It is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that we used to try to achieve in the 80s
Yeah.
when we had our Santa Fe models that we would custom paint. And we would mix the paint with some white and some yellow to try to fade out that Santa Fe yellow bonnet.
Yep.
And you
Yeah.
guys are coming out with this factory. That's
That's
fantastic.
out of the box.
That's a beautiful model right up to that BNSF patch there,
Yeah. Except for that, yeah.
All except for that, but
Yeah, I guess you got to stick with the times, right?
Is that the Ready to Weather series still?
yeah, Prime for Grime, ready
Prime
to
for Grime.
rust.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I said, it comes out of the box that way. I mean, it really saves the hassle of trying to source decals that have that sort of like creamed out yellow and
Yeah.
stuff. That you don't have to strip the whole thing and start over.
Yeah.
You can just hit the ground running, just a little pan pastel, some even watercolor pencils and stuff, and you're done. I mean, you can. It's kind of bringing the hobby back to being, done in an evening type weathering jobs and
Right.
stuff. So, but yeah. Speaking
And,
of stuff for the National Mall Railroad, I brought a couple recent acquisitions, and these are going into my warranty protection fleet. As far as like leasing locomotives, there's leasing locomotives, and then there's another class called warranty protection.
Right.
And for the National Model Railroad Association in St. Louis, it kind of regards to my clinic that I plan on doing is revolving about leasing.
Right.
Locomotive leasing and how to model it. So,
Sure.
So that's what your clinic's going to be on.
right. And these 3 models are representative of warranty protection. I'm going to be covering that in more detail. And there's a really neat way to model it that can add a lot of just fun to a club setting that'll kind of, expand just the realism a little bit more with just how people hustle locomotives and where to pull, stuff into a consist of locomotives that make it a little more realistic, and then the operation of like breaking down the consist and seeing the hows and whys of things. So I think it's one of the more obscure topics that people just don't really know about too much. So,
Yeah.
Sure, but yeah, you saw them all the time. I remember seeing those GECXs all the time.
and it's just going to become more and more
Yeah.
present in the
Yeah.
present day.
Right.
Right.
So many leasing companies.
Right, and so many railroads no longer will.
Well, it's
service
precision
their stuff
scheduled
as
railroad,
much, yeah.
and I touch upon that. I mean, it's just how things are going as far as like, what do we want to have as assets on our book? How much, motive power, horsepower hours are they generating? Things like that. It's all covered in my presentation. I invite everybody.
That
that's
sounds
Nice.
like a
gonna
great
be
clinic.
there.
Okay, yeah.
It's going to be kind of like, decrypting some of these things. And I'll tell you what, it was one of the hardest things to research. I'm still researching it. It's still evolving the more information I get on it.
Though I shudder to think of all those prototypical modelers that are now having to shut down all their yards and stuff because it doesn't fit in with the precision scheduled railroading.
Well, we'll cover that, and it'll be a fun topic. I think it'll be kind of lively once we get to how to model it too, because there's just some things that you can do real quick. Horsepower hours, how to calculate horsepower hours in a model frame, how to repay horsepower hours. Borrowing a friend's locomotive could mean
Sure.
you got to send them one of your locomotives.
Right.
So there's going to be a lot of fun that's kind of put into locomotive leasing.
Sure.
Like I said, this is going to be my warranty protection fleet, starting with the Morrison Knudsen SDP 45. That's a brand new locomotive that I just got. In fact, I want to figure out how to,
speed matching.
match them. Yeah. So that's why I was kind of bugging you about any sort of thoughts that you might have on that.
Well, that's why I brought this little tool over here, this AccuTrack speedometer. I think I saw it for the first time years ago. I think it was Alex Koleshnikov there at DCC Train in Cincinnati who was demonstrating, and I thought that was just kind of cool because I was trying to speed match my fleet, and then you're going by the numbers, and I'm dealing with like 3 different gearboxes here. I have a Genesis gearbox. Yeah.
I have the RTR gearbox with a Genesis motor, and then I have the Atlas drive system. So they're all different.
Right.
Fortunately, unfortunately, it's you get benefits on some aspects of it, but trying to get that performance where everything is smoothly accelerates together.
Yeah, you just get them close enough to really argue with each other. And,
Right.
So, this goes out to our everybody viewing this, too. If you have any good ideas on how to speed match locomotives, I'm interested in hearing it. I've been using Decoder Pro and kind of trying to, go with the 128 speed step route.
Yes.
And, just like, what I tend to do is like try to match them all on the top end. Once I get them matched on the top end, then I kind of step backwards all the way up to the front. I'm interested on anybody's else's input on that. I got to set up a circle of track and just start playing with it, I guess.
Right.
About 5 shows ago, you gave me those beautiful Santa Fe Bluebonnet F7s.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I spent 3 hours speed matching those using Decoder Pro on the computer with the little sliders, which allows you to, really nail it. But a lot of times it's easier just to set the 3 main vantage points of speed matching, which is the
step stools.
The steps.
Approach.
I know at K10's model trains they have a triple track line like right at the front of their layout. I think they have it measured off at about 10 yards or something like that you can have the locomotives all running parallel to each other, and then calculate the speed steps pretty exactly within that space. And so, on non-operating nights, you'll see guys there all the time, just sort of speed matching their equipment there.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. So, Chris, you showed up today about 2:00, and we've been building trade show displays, and I don't have any
N-scale layout.
An N-scale layout, that's correct. From the ground up, we built this beautiful N-scale layout, and I'm going to actually probably shoot some B-roll of what we got. It's not much to look at now because we've only been working on it for about 5 hours today, which was a lot. But David Popp over at Kalmbach Media asked me, he said, "Hey, Ken, we've been watching your shows, and tell me, how long does it take you guys to prepare for a show?" And tonight, as you saw, I think we prepared for this one in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, right.
Because we've been so busy over there working on the dioramas that I almost completely forgot that we had to do a podcast tonight.
Just pull up chairs, do your sound check, get the models on the table, and boom.
You just nailed it. That's all there is to it. But I wanted to say the Gateway 2020 show, what was I bringing this up for? Because you were talking about your clinic.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to sign up to see Chris Palomarez's clinic or James Regier's clinic or any of the clinics coming up at the NMRA 2020 show, that's July 12th through the 18th, check out their website. That is at gateway2020.org, and you can see all the various things that are available, layout tours, clinics, a lot of different things going on that week in St. Louis. Be sure to check it out. The NMRA called me this week, and in fact, Brad Joseph and a lot of the guys came by, and we sat down, and we're making plans now for more swag, I guess it is.
More swag.
Because at the show, they've got the lanyards that you wear, they've got the bags,
all sorts of
they've got the brochure with the different
the timetable.
Timetable, correct.
Right.
And James is in charge of of selling the ad space for that. So we did a lot of assessment and calculating on trying to figure out, kind of where to go with that. So if you're interested in that, also in readers' comments on our YouTube site, go ahead and put down your company name and let us know that you all would be interested in helping to support the show or being in the timetable with your advertisement. I saw Mark Twain was in for the 2001 is the last NMRA show that we had in St. Louis. And so that's where we're basing a lot of the things that we had in mind for that. I wanted to bring that up.
Just don't forget, too, Athearn has a car that we're putting together for the Gateway.
Is that right?
Oh,
Yeah, it's a
nice.
manufacturer's railway insulated boxcar. So it could work on anybody's layout, and we have like singles and
What
three-pack.
scheme is it going to be?
It's the brown end, white.
Okay, with the kind of like the red ends.
Yeah. It's like I'd say the 70s era.
Right.
Yeah, the
Nice.
early 70s era.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Nice.
amazing.
Well, I'll be getting some of those.
Yeah.
This week it was sunny before the snow came tonight, which is what we're getting right now. But this week it was beautiful, 55 and 60 degrees every day. And I took out this gorgeous, on the table, you see this Amtrak locomotive. And this is something really special, guys. This is that locomotive that's built by Siemens. And this is going to replace the, what is it called? The P...
42.
P-42.
The
42, yeah.
P-42s. This is a replacement for that. This is called an SC-44 diesel electric locomotive. It comes equipped with wow sound, and this is from Bachmann Trains out of Philadelphia. And
Right.
I have not been allowed to talk about it until tonight. Rock and roll. Let me show you a picture and a video clip of the outdoor photo shoot if I haven't already been running it right now. It was absolutely gorgeous. I used 4 layers of scenery. I spent a
Look at
whole
those
whopping
mountains.
5 hours
Right.
of time building a brand new super elevated curve scene where the train is leaning through the curve, which adds speed. Because I'm shooting the 2020 Bachmann catalog cover photo that they're going to be looking at for the next 12 months. And so I wanted to make it something that they'd be proud to look at. And
I noticed too this very locomotive is Amtrak Midwest, just like you'd see running from
Right.
Chicago to St. Louis or Chicago to Rock Island, or from St. Louis to Kansas City. And the day right after you shot that photo, it was a rainy, miserable Friday, but it was passing through Kirkwood right after I dropped my daughter off at preschool, and so I just went there and took pictures of it. And Bachmann has done an incredible job with replicating that locomotive.
let me show you the final result of that photograph, guys. Here's how it came out. 4 layers of scenery, just beautiful color, super elevated, leaning through the curve, mountains, pine trees. It's just a neat photograph. It just looks neat. It came out fantastic. So hats off to Bachmann for coming out with this beautiful model. As many of you know, this week is the week that the RPM meet down in Florida in Coco Beach is taking place. We've got our correspondent down there, George Bogatak from Soundtracks. George sent us some photographs of the show. I see one picture here with Frank from Intermountain Railway Company out there. I also see the gentleman from Proto Throttle, Scott Thornton.
Scott Thornton.
Yeah.
Michael's
He was
right
out
there, too.
Right. There's a picture of George Bogatak. How about that? And there was a lot of models on the table. They had a lot of beautiful models, very similar to the St. Louis RPM meet, except for it's
Yeah.
80 degrees down there and sunny.
There are some perks
And
to
George
be in
was
Florida
telling us
right
all
now.
about the beach time he was enjoying out there.
Yeah, he sent
Lucky
plenty
guy.
of pictures of his feet for us.
I'm not going to show that picture.
God.
We're not running that photograph.
Thanks.
But it's so nice when the guys get to go down. I've heard so many great stories about Cocoa Beach. That is also a very popular RPM show. So it's really neat how modelers all around get together. And thank you, Florida, for sharing us these pictures. George Bogatak, we love you, brother. So, Mike, tell me, what did you bring tonight? It looks like you've got a really cool truck you've been working on this week.
Yeah, first off, I wanted to give a shout out to a couple of our fans from south of the border. Fabrizio Beccerel and his dad, Eduardo Beccerel. They're building a layout, and they sent some photos of it to me. And little Fabrizio, 7 years old, putting the ballast on with a brush. It was really cool to see.
Yeah.
So, and his dad has a Spanish language YouTube channel called Just for Fun Trains, if you want to check it out. So
That's cool.
Anyway, and another thing I wanted to mention, I wanted to give a shout out to all of our friends south of the equator down there in Australia with the horrible fires that are going on.
Oh, man.
27 firefighters have already been killed and millions of animals.
Yeah.
So,
$500 million, I've heard.
yeah.
It's insane.
Anyway, very, very bad. So that's why I'm wearing this. But anyway, the truck. When I was building all those telephone trucks, one of our other fans sent me a picture of a truck that he bought in 1972 for his business. It's an old Bell truck. It's a 1960 Ford. And I recognize the cab and the back utility bed that I had at home. The utility bed is from Claire Gilbert at Sylvan Scale Models. The cab is the Classic Metalworks 1960 Ford, but they fit together really nice to make a model of this truck.
Sure.
And anyway, that guy was your dad, Ken, and that's a model of his truck. And I'm going to send that to him after this podcast, so I hope he's not watching now. So he's going to get a nice surprise in the mail.
I love you, Mike.
Well, Ken does have a delay for editing, so you may get ahead of him yet.
Yeah, and thanks to Precision Design for William Brillinger made those decals for me on a really short notice, just in a few days, and sent them to me so I could have this ready. So
Awesome.
That's turned out beautiful, Mike.
I didn't
Thanks.
see that coming. Isn't he amazing?
Yeah, he just
And you ventured out in this snowstorm to come be on the
yeah,
show.
man, I wanted to show it to you guys.
Wow.
Yeah, he was texting me. He was like, I don't know if I should go out, but I have this truck that I promised people that will be on the show tonight.
Yeah.
So that's dedication.
All right, man. I
amazing.
think your dad will get a big kick out
Oh
of it.
my gosh, yes. How about that? I didn't even know that was coming.
Yeah.
I didn't. I'm halfway paying attention. Again, I want to reiterate to you guys, please check out at Model Road Hobbyist Magazine What's Neat, the January show. 20,000 views in 5 days. Rock and roll. We're back on our game. Dan Parmalee opens up that show. That's my favorite airline pilot gentleman that comes by here every couple of months when he's in St. Louis. And by the way, congratulations, Dan, on your captain.
Oh, he made it.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yes.
He has now moved from one side of the plane to the other, so he is a captain. Also in that show is John Schindler's beautiful layout. That's just a great layout you got to check
Right.
out. And there's a layout construction segment in there on how we built the new 13-foot module on my home layout, which is also going to be on the NMRA tour in 2020. That should have taken 10 days to do that how-to article, but it actually took me 3 months in between everything else. So everybody's got what they want. They love the how-tos and how we build stuff, and I just love doing it for people. So rock and roll, best job in the world. I love my job, guys. I love doing what I do. So it looks like we're coming up almost on the end of this one. Is there anything else that I am missing, guys?
Well, just a reminder to go ahead and, like the podcast, give us a thumbs up if you enjoy it. Hit that bell so that you know the next podcast is coming on, and keep sending us those questions.
Stay in
because
touch.
You know what? We like talking to you guys, and we like bringing
Absolutely.
up those questions and trying to answer them on the shows. We want this to be your show and make sure that everyone's taken care of.
yeah.
And thank you so much, because when we go run some trains tonight, we're going to be using this wonderful NCE Pro Cab, the big system. I love the way it works. And Michael Wood, thank you so much for the display that keeps them on the table in front of everybody all the time to see. The fact is, these things work every time. Tonight when I turned it on, I simply hit the button and it ran. That's the beauty of it. No problems, no fuss, no muss. It works. And that's the key to anything that we ever do in this hobby, is we want it to work. And that's what NCE gives you, the power of DCC. So thank you very much for all the folks that help us produce this show. We really appreciate it, and we're going to continue to do a lot more great things for the hobby the best we can. So with that, guys, it looks like we're coming to an end on this one. Thank you very much, Zach Mantia, for running camera for us. We love you, brother. Daniel Coombs, I love you, man. Guys, this is the best hobby in the world with the best people in it. So with that, let's go run some trains.
All right.
All
And
right.
get some wings.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.